So we finally got some progression with Chinatsu and Tatra with this week's episode. Chinatsu is realizing her flaws and what she needs to work on, and Tatra also is getting forced to realize his flaws, and he is basically trying to change himself for the better. Nice progression overall with these two characters. So let's just dive straight headfirst into the details. So number one, let's talk about Tatra. So Tatra, as a character, we know he's not that good of a lead. He is a very bad lead. I mean, one of the big reasons, and it's been constantly just pressed in there and nailed in every single episode, is that he's too dependent on the follow, which makes a lot of sense. If he's the lead, he needs to be a very strong-willed individual that's able to kind of direct the course of the dance. And so, with him being too dependent on Chinatsu, it makes it to where she's not able to perform right, and basically, he's not able to perform right. It's kind of like this. He's making Chinatsu maybe do like 75% of the work of the dancing while he's doing 25% of the work. And so it's not a perfect 50-50. And that's what's happening here. Basically, when we saw the other episode, when we saw the little glimpse into, you know, Tatra's mind, when he saw 4 legs or whatever, he felt like he had 4 legs, it was because both of them finally were able to come together, coexist, and both balance each other out. One was, you know, doing half the work, and the other was doing the other half of the work. And so it was 50-50% of the work. They had a perfect balance. And so that's what's going on here. You have it to where Tatra, he's like I said, he's only doing maybe, you know, 25% of the work, while Chinatsu's having to do 75% of the work, and so it makes it very hard on her, and that is why they're not performing. So this is kind of the big detail here, and letting us know what needs to happen. It's not the fact that he's putting too much confidence into Chinatsu, it's the fact that he's not respecting her enough to understand that there needs to be some form of balance between each other. Now let's get into Chinatsu. So Chinatsu, we know one of the big problems she has is that she can't really follow properly. She's always been like the lead when she danced a long time ago, and it caused her to get into a lot of disputes with individuals she tried to partner up with, because she always had this fiery personality, and basically she didn't want to follow any lead, because she felt like she was just better, and they sucked. And in this case, she probably was right. Maybe they weren't really that good to begin with, because she is a really good dancer, but the problem is her arrogance and pride, which in turn led it to where she couldn't really get a partner. And so they both had their own problems. They both definitely have their own problems. For instance, Chinatsu has a problem where she's too arrogant and prideful, and then you have it to where Tatra, he's just too over-dependent on the follow, and he can't do a proper lead. And so they both have kind of like the opposite of problems. Number one, Chinatsu thinks that she is better than she is, and then Tatra thinks he, you know, needs to like kind of give way, and he's really bad and he lacks confidence. So someone has too much confidence and one lacks confidence. That's the best way to summarize it right then and there. Tatra needs confidence. Chinatsu needs to kind of lose a little bit of confidence, and that's kind of what will probably cause the perfect balance between these individuals. Now anyways, let's talk about one other detail about Chinatsu. Chinatsu states in this episode that Tatra is her last shot. And what this means is that Chinatsu has been with many others. She's tried to become a partner with others, and it's never really worked out. And she realizes that if she doesn't have this partnership work with Tatra, then most likely she's never going to have this chance ever again. She's probably going to have to give up dancing, because with her personality and how she is, and how Tatra is so accepting of her, even though he yells at her and they have this little argument back and forth, overall he is someone that hasn't completely just cut all contact and dropped it. He's even said he wants to work and continuously dance with her. He doesn't want to end their partnership. That lets us know that Chinatsu realizes she has found someone that's like a keeper. Someone that, you know, wants to dance with her, even though she has her own problems. And she has become very aware that she has her own problems. She's self-conscious about it. She realizes that if it doesn't work out with him, it's not going to work out with anyone. It's not a possibility. So, if that they eventually cut off from being partners, she's probably going to give up dancing. And so that's kind of her motivation right now, why she doesn't want to break off from Tatra, because he's just so understanding in a way. He's someone that's very nice, and she just can't understand him in a way because of how he acts towards her, how he's just so nice and compassionate. She just feels like it's hurting her more and more every time she looks at him and realizes that, like, he's dependent of her, and it hurts her, and she realizes her faults and flaws. So, like I said, very good stuff overall. Now, anyways, let's talk about the fan service stuff of this episode. So, oh my, Marisa-sensei. That was a, I'm not a big fan, usually, of, hot spring episodes or anything like that. I'm not usually a fan, but I will say that Marisa-sensei is... she's on a whole new level of, like, bae in this episode. Like, when you compare her to the other characters, and when you look at her, you're like, man, like, there's just no contest overall. There's just no contest in terms of, like, the body and all that. I'm like, there's no contest. I'm like, Marisa-sensei is just 10 out of 10. Quality status. So, just... that fan service. I'm not usually a big fan of it. Like, I'm not usually a fan of fan service, but... I gotta say, I like that scene. I did like that scene. I especially like the little scene when Mako was playing with a little rubber ducky. I thought that was very cute. It was very adorable, but it was very, very, very cute. So yeah, anyways, the episode of Welcome to the Ballroom, the latest episode, was very simple. It kind of addresses, once again, the details that we've been getting for the past couple episodes. This arc is very, very quick, I have to say. Like, the pacing and all that seems like it's really sped up and kicked it up a notch. Like, they have the pedal to the metal, basically, for this arc, which could be a good thing and a bad thing. Because one of the big problems I had with this series, when, you know, we had the last big arc and all that for the first half, was that it was too slow. But now that we get into the second half, it feels like it's going a little bit fast. Like, there's not a lot of details that are being explained, or maybe a lot of characterization. It feels like something is missing. Overall, it feels like there is details throughout the episodes that seem like they're missing. I could be wrong there, but it feels like something overall is missing from the story. It's still very fun, very enjoyable series, but I don't know, just by the way the pacing feels and the story is going, it feels like it's just on fast forward, and there's, like, not any fluff being added in. Like, you know how when you're reading a manga, or you're watching an anime, you have these, like, fluffy scenes and all that are not necessarily important to the main context of the story, but they add, like, characterization and little details so you can understand these characters when they're outside of their normal environment. Well, it feels like that's kind of what the series is doing. It feels like they're kind of cutting out scenes that make you kind of get a feel for the characters and understand them at a different level than what we see when they're actually dancing. I could be wrong there, but that's the feeling I get while watching, you know, these recent episodes. So that's about it. Great episode overall of Welcome to the Ballroom. I enjoyed the little, you know, details with, you know, finding out more about Tatra and his problems and how he's basically a very bad frame. He needs to work on being a better frame for Chinatsu, and Chinatsu needs to work on, you know, her arrogance and pride and kind of take it down a peg or two. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed my content, please subscribe. If you like my video, please leave a like. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.